warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to the first lecture in the reading module. My name is Abdulaziz Alturki again, and this is my email address. If you have any concerns or questions, please send me an email or attend the live session, as I always say. So, this is the first lecture in the reading module. What we are going to cover in this lecture are some strategies, reading strategies that will help you to improve your reading skills. One of the first skills that we are going to learn about is getting the meaning from context. Getting the meaning from context. This is actually a basic reading skill, so we all have to practice this skill and be able to know the meaning from the context. Why? Simply because there are words, same words, can have different meanings depending on the context. So that's why we need to be aware of this issue and start practicing from day one. Also, we have identifying the main idea. For each reading passage or a reading selection or a paragraph, there is one main idea. And of course, we have supporting details, but one major skill or one very important skill in the reading module or in the reading course is to be able to identify the main idea. The third strategy that we are going to talk about in this lecture is called skimming for the topic and main idea. All right? So practicing basically skimming. And later on, we are going to talk about scanning. So we have many skills to cover in this book. We're going to talk about them one by one. Another very, very important skill is to be able to understand pronoun reference. We have pronouns all over the reading selection. How do we know which antecedent the pronoun refers to? So this is what we are going to learn in this lecture. First of all, let's talk about getting the meaning from context. First of all, obviously, what is meant by context? What is the meaning of context? All right, context refers to the other words in the sentence or the other sentences in the paragraph or reading selection. So this is called the context. Now, I will give you one example. If, for example, you have the word key. The word key is a basic word. Let's say everyone knows the meaning of the word key, which is, let's say, a metal tool that is used to open doors, or to unlock or lock and unlock doors. All right? This is one of the meanings of the word key. But sometimes, when you talk about success, for example, when the reading selection in front of you is about success, and in the middle of the reading selection, you have a sentence that has this segment saying, well, there are many keys to success, for example. So keys to success. Now we know, because we are talking about success, that key does not mean a metal tool that is used to unlock doors. We know that it means something else. So context is really important. So first of all, the other words in a sentence and other sentences in the paragraph. These constitute what we call context. They set the context. All right? Sometimes when we read a reading selection like this one or any other reading selections, you have new words. All right? One of the problems that many students have is that they go and read and they come to the first word that they don't know the meaning of, and they open the dictionary. They check the meaning, and that's fine. They continue reading, and then they find another word that they don't know the meaning of, and they go back to the dictionary, back and forth, back and forth. The problem with that is that reading is not enjoyable anymore. Reading becomes really tedious, hard job. I have to check the meaning of every single word in a dictionary. The good news is that we don't have to do that all the time. Sometimes we have what we call cues. We have cues to the meaning. We have cues, so here are some types of cues that will help us or help you guess the meaning of the new words in a sentence. What are they? In this lecture, we are going to talk about 3 of them. First of all, punctuation. Number 2, a clue in another sentence. Just read another sentence and then the meaning might be clearer. So don't stop at the word and go to the dictionary. No, just keep reading. It might get really clearer when you read the second sentence. The third strategy or cue to help us to identify the meaning of new words is basic logic. Sometimes it's really logical. You can tell the meaning of the new word even though you have never heard that before. So let's go one and one. And one by one. So number 1, we have punctuation. How does punctuation tell us the meaning of new words? Well, first of all, let's look at some types of punctuations. We have parentheses here, dash, a comma. These are some examples of what we mean by punctuation. All right, so parentheses, dash, and comma. These can be used as indicators or let's say factors, or let's say the cues that help you identify the meaning of new words. Here we have an example. Let's read it together. A dangerous form of weather is hail. Then we have parentheses. All right? So, between those parentheses, falling balls of ice, which has been known to get so big that it can break cars or cars' windshields. All right? So let's say that we don't know the meaning of the word hail, but because we have 2 parentheses here, we know that this is the meaning of the word hail. All right, so this is the first cue, the first strategy. All right, so basically, hail means falling balls of ice. It's as simple as that. All right, do we have another punctuation, or let's say a comma, for example? Can we use commas to get the meaning of new words? Yes, of course. So doctors usually have high status or social position between 2 commas in most countries. So let's say that we want to know the meaning of the word status here. Let's say that we don't know the meaning of the word status. Because we have it between 2 commas, we know that this is the meaning of this word. It's as simple as that. All right, so status basically means a social position. All right, then we have an example with a dash. Here we have this sentence here. Students need great discipline or self-control to give up sports, hobbies, etc., etc. All right, the word that we want to know the meaning of is the word discipline. The word discipline. Again, as I said, sometimes one word might have 2 or 3 or more meanings. How do we know the meaning of this word in this context? Well, discipline, for example, the word discipline, linguistics is a discipline, right? So this is one meaning. So linguistics, whatever, psychology, whatever, mathematics, psychology, sociology, those are disciplines, different disciplines. All right? Another meaning is presented here. So students need great discipline. students need great discipline to give up sports and study harder, for example. Well, the context now, more or less, tells us that this has something to do, this has to be a personal trait, a personal character. Students need that to study hard. Another important cue that we have here, we have dashes, all right? We have dashes here. So basically the word discipline means self-control, as simple as that. So whenever you have parentheses or commas or dashes following the word that we ask you to tell us the meaning of, ask yourself if that is a possible, for example, if that's a possible explanation or definition for that word. It's not always the case. This is really important. It's not always the case. If you have one word followed by a phrase within two punctuation marks, that does not mean that this is the meaning of that word, but sometimes this is the case. And you can tell just by reading, you can tell that it just takes attention. Just pay attention and you will be able to differentiate and tell whether this is the meaning of the new word or not. Okay. Now a clue in another sentence. Now let's read this sentence together. Okay. In Singapore, schools place their students in groups according to their needs. This is based on the belief that students are not born with identical ability because they are not exactly the same. Some students will be bored and others will have difficulty. Now the word that I want you to know the meaning of is the word identical. What does it mean? If it's a new word to you, we can use a clue in another sentence. All right? So it's not necessary that the meaning of this word is presented in the same sentence. Just continue reading and you might find another clue. So we read the sentence. This is based on the belief that students are not born with identical ability. All right, so first of all, we should mention here, students are not born with identical ability. So identical and are not, okay? Because they are not exactly the same. So mathematically, if we take are not from the two sentences, we are left with identical and exactly the same. So students are not exactly the same, or students do not have the same, let's say, ability. This is what the sentence means. So the word identical means exactly the same. As simple as that. All right? So again, we want to know the meaning of the word identical. We continue reading because they are not exactly the same. So it's, in a way, it's a repetition. It's a repetition of the same meaning, but with different words. So identical means exactly the same. All right? This is logical because if you examine the other sentences or the other words, you will not find a clue or a word that is close to identical in this reading selection. So identical basically means exactly the same, because this sentence here supports the previous sentence. All right, this sentence supports the previous sentence, so that's why, or that's how we learned that exactly the same means identical, or vice versa. Okay, so this is the second clue. The third clue is logic. Sometimes you don't need anything but logic to understand the meaning of new words. Sometimes you read a sentence like this one, and there is one word that you don't know the meaning of. Don't panic, this is normal. Just use logic and you might get the meaning from the context. Here, in this example, every 3 years, 18-year-old students in secondary schools across the world sit down to take the same exam. All right, so first of all, let's look for cues. Or first of all, let's identify the word that we want to know the meaning of. In this case, it's secondary schools. Let's say that we are really not sure what is meant here by secondary schools. All right, what does secondary mean? I should read the whole sentence again and look for cues. In this case, we have age. The age of students can tell you what stage the students are at. So for example, every 3 years, well, here there's nothing to tell us about the meaning of the word secondary. Here we have 18-year-old students in secondary schools. All right? The rest is not really important because there are no cues that tell us the meaning of the word secondary. But here, the age of students gives us an indication. So we ask ourselves, at the age of 18 or maybe 17 or 16, that is cultural specific, let's say. So in some cultures or in some countries, secondary school students can be 18 years old. In some other schools or other countries, I think secondary schools or students at secondary schools are, let's say, from 13 to 16. So it differs by country. So this is really important. Context is important. If the reading selection is about the United States, then you would imagine or you would expect some age differences. But let's say 18 or 17 is the average for secondary school graduates for the final year. So here the age gave us an indication to the meaning of the word secondary. It's not elementary. Students are not starting school. They are finishing school. 18 years old. That's simple logic, isn't it? All right. Now let's have this exercise. Let's read it together. Read it silently, first of all, and then I will read it to you, and we will answer the exercise together. All right. Some of the drawbacks, disadvantages for working for big corporations include working for too long hours and exerting a lot of effort, mental or physical work. Thus, the workers may experience exhaustion or extreme weakness. Now, what is meant by drawbacks, effort, and exhaustion? We look at the reading selection above. This is the word drawback. It's followed by the word, or let's say it's followed by a word within 2 commas. This word is disadvantages, and it's logical. So this means that. Drawbacks means disadvantages. For working for big corporations include working for too long hours and exerting a lot of effort. Now say that we don't know the meaning of the word effort. The word effort is followed by a phrase within 2 dashes. So mental or physical work. That seems to explain, all right? Explain the word effort. So we know that the meaning of the word effort is mental or physical work. Clear? All right. Thus, the workers may experience exhaustion. Now, that's another word I don't know the meaning of, for example. So, we have this clue here. We have parentheses, extreme weakness. So, if we read the sentence again and say, for example, the workers may experience extreme weakness, it goes well, it's logical. So extreme weakness means exhaustion. All right, so this is really, really simple. All right, now we move to the next strategy or skill that we will learn in this lecture, identifying the topic and the main idea. Of course, the first thing that we ask ourselves, what is meant by topic, what is a topic, and what is the main idea? What do you mean by that? First of all, the topic. All right, the topic is what the paragraph is about, as simple as that. The topic is what the paragraph is about. So, you take a reading selection, any reading selection. You know that there must be a topic. This whole reading selection, this paragraph, has to be about one topic, about one thing. It's either sports, it's either education, health, football, whatever. Okay, so it's one topic, right? And this topic is not a sentence. This is really important. So if I ask you to give me the topic of this paragraph, you don't give me the whole sentence. It's just one word or a phrase. It's either a word or a phrase. A word, for example, sports. This reading selection, this whole reading selection, can be about sports, health, education, whatever. Or a phrase. For example, the dangers of X, whatever. Or the health benefits of Y. All right, this is a phrase. It's not a whole sentence. Okay, so this is the topic. Now, there is something that the author or the writer of the book or the writer of the text, there's a point that he or she wants to make about this topic. For example, if we take the word sports, I can write one paragraph about sports. In that paragraph, I have something to say about sports. One possible option is to talk about the health benefits of sports. In that case, if my point is to say that sports are really important and everyone should exercise daily, then that's my main point. If the whole paragraph is about that, then this is the main point. Another person might want to talk about the dangers, all right, or accidents in sports. All right, so that's a different main idea. It's the same topic, right? Sports. But I wrote about the health benefits, and that writer wrote about the accidents. Okay, so two different main points. What determines that? The text. We read the text, and then we know which sentence or two include the main idea. So in the main idea of a paragraph is the umbrella. Right? It's a general sentence. It's not specific. Right? In any reading selection, in any paragraph, you have some general sentences, and you have some specific, details, examples, or just specific details. The main idea is not a specific detail. It's an umbrella sentence that includes what the author wants to say about the topic. It usually includes the opinion of the author. All right? Now, what is the overall message that being made by the author about the topic of this paragraph or reading selection? This is the question that you should ask yourself while reading any text. So in this book or in any other book, you always ask yourself, and it's quite automatic. When you read something, you ask yourself, what does the author want to say about it? Okay? All right. Now, I'm going to present to you some tips that will help you identify the main idea. Number one, read the title. Sometimes it's all in the title. So if the title of that paragraph is the dangers of the health, for example, the health benefits of sports, for example. Well, you know that the author has something to say about health or health benefits of exercising. That's one option, right? So it's already in the title. I don't have to read every single word in that paragraph. So that's one way to do that. One way to identify the meaning of, to identify the main idea of the reading selection is to read the title. Sometimes the title says it all. Okay, number two, read the first few sentences of the paragraph. The first and sometimes the end. So the first 2 or 3 sentences of any reading selection or any paragraph usually contain what the author wants to say about the topic. Usually it's at the very beginning, but sometimes for different reasons the writers write or include their main point at the last 2 sentences. So read the last 2 sentences. Usually the main point or the main idea is included there. Number 3, read the whole passage from beginning to an end. If you read the title and it's not clear to you what the main idea is, you read the first 2 and the last 2 sentences and still the idea is not clear, well, go ahead and read the reading selection or the paragraph from beginning to an end. All right, so it might be at the last sentence, as I said previously. So read the whole selection. Let's do this exercise together. I will read, and then of course you are free to pause the video at any time and then check your answers with me. On the one hand, it seems that education is not a one-size-fits-all situation. There isn't one perfect educational system that is right for all countries. Each educational system is a mirror that reflects the values of its own culture. On the other hand, it seems clear that each country can improve. There's no magic solution. But in this global economy, no educational system is isolated from others, and each can learn from others. All right? So read it, pause the video if you want, or if you have already paused the video and answered, I'm going to show you the answer right now. All right. First of all, the topic. It is clear here that the author, the author wants to, or actually talked about education, educational systems. So education, educational system here, all right? In all countries, each educational system, again here, all right? So what else? Yeah, so we can find it everywhere. So that's the first part. And then culture. So education is not a one-size-fits-all situation. So basically what this means is one solution or one program or one model that works for all countries. So education is not like that. So what makes it different? All right, what makes it different is that each educational system reflects the culture of that country. All right, so here we know that, and we continue reading, right? So isolated, that is also related. It tells us that no one educational system is isolated from other educational systems. So you see, all right, so the topic is educational systems and cultures. Educational systems and cultures. So this is the general topic. The main idea, what is the main idea here? The educational system is a mirror that reflects the culture. Now it's this sentence here, if you find it. All right, so each educational system is a mirror that reflects the values of its own culture. This is the main idea. Why? Because this is the most general sentence of the sentences presented above. All right, so here you have a general statement, here again, all general. What governs them all is this sentence. This is the most general sentence of them. And this is where the author implemented or embedded the idea that he or she wanted to express. So educational system is a mirror that reflects the culture. Now, the third strategy, which is really, really important, is skimming. Skimming for the topic and the main idea. Sometimes, or when you have a sentence or when you have a paragraph like this one, followed by 10 paragraphs like this one, it's really hard to tell the main idea of this paragraph and the whole reading selection. But the good news is that you don't have to read every single word. It's enough to skim, to practice skimming. And this is important. You need to practice skimming from now so that it becomes easier for you with time. Number one, ignore the details and look quickly for the main ideas. If you have dates or if you have names, those are details. Usually they are just details, right? Well, in skimming, just read the general or look for the general ideas, the main ideas. Then read the title and any subheadings. Sometimes you have the title, the big title, and subheading, one subheading for each paragraph. So read those very quickly. For the whole reading selection, if you read the title and the subheadings, you get an idea of what the paragraph or what the essay is about. Okay? Read the first and last two sentences of each paragraph very quickly, of course. Don't read word by word. Don't read every single word. This is just skimming. You are not reading yet. You are just skimming, trying to know what the reading selection is about. All right, so these are the rules, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we have this exercise. Now, let's practice together. Let's read it, and then ask yourself, what is the topic of this paragraph? Let's read it first, and then pause the video to find or to get the answer. Reading. Problems with studies, money, and depression can make college the worst of times. However, college is also where most students learn about themselves and learn about the world. This is where they make friends for life. With careful organization planning and attention to relationships with others, students can achieve a balance that can make college the best of times too. All right, so we read it. If you want very quickly, try to figure out what each sentence serves. So why do we have this sentence here? Is that a general sentence or is it an introductory sentence? All right. Does this sentence include the main idea or the main topic? Here we have options. Number one, relationships. All right, so we know we have relationships here. That's right. Depression, number two. We know we have the word depression here. And then we have college life. Now we ask ourselves, what is the most general sentence? All right, so problems with studies, money, and depression can make college the worst of times. And then the rest of the paragraph is not about problems. All right, it's not about problems anymore. Just read the following sentences. They are not about depression. So we know that this cannot be the answer. All right. We have relationships, number one. We know that relationships comes here. So let's read the sentence. With careful organization, planning, and attention to relationships. So this is just an extra detail, right? These sentences are not about relationships. So we know that this is not true. What we know is that this reading selection is about college life. It's general, college life. Good, bad, whatever. The question is, what is the main idea now? Well, there's one sentence here that states the main idea. And to me, it's this one. It's this one here. College is also where most students learn about themselves and learn about the world. All right. This is where they make friends for life. So this is related to the sentence. With careful organization, planning, and attention, students can achieve a balance, blah, blah, blah. This is also related to that sentence. All right? Students can learn about themselves and about the world. So they learn about themselves, how to make friends, and how to be organized, how to plan, how to pay attention to relationships. These are supporting details for the general sentence, which is college is also where most students learn about themselves and learn about the world. This is general. All right? And these sentences support that sentence. So this is the main idea. I hope that you found this exercise useful and easy to understand. All right, as I mentioned at the very beginning of this lecture, we have 4 or more. We also have more skills that we are going to cover in this course. But today we are also going to talk about pronoun reference. Reference comes from the word refer. So refer. So basically, we have pronouns, right? Which is a word that is used to stand for or take place of a noun. Examples of pronouns: he or she or it, their, whatever. Okay? So these are called pronouns. Pronouns refer to nouns, all right? So the question is, how do we know the antecedent of the pronoun? So what does this pronoun refer back to in a reading selection? As we will see now in this example. For example, Mary bought a car from my brothers. They are happy now. The question is, the pronoun they refers back to my brothers or Mary. Okay, the pen is not the best, so forgive me. All right, so the pronoun, this is one way to answer this question. The pronoun must agree with its antecedent in three things, or maybe one of them will give you a clue. First of all, person. Person may be plural or singular. So if the antecedent is plural and the pronoun is singular, then you know that the pronoun does not refer to that plural noun. Gender, so masculine or feminine. And lastly, number. Let's take this example. Here we have Mary bought a car from my brothers. Now this is plural, right? So this is agreement in number, basically. Mary is one. My brothers, plural. They is basically plural. So we know that this is the correct answer, this is incorrect. Why? Because this is singular and this is plural. This is plural. There is agreement. Right? So we know that they refers to my brothers. Okay? Gender. So we have, if it's Ali or whatever name, Muhammad, Khalid. Okay, Ali, he masculine, right? Layla, she feminine. If you have this example sentence, Layla is a good student. He or she always comes to class prepared. Now, can we use he? No, we can't. Simply because he is masculine. And Layla must take she. So if I ask you, what does she refers back to? We know it's Layla. If there was another name here, maybe Muhammad, maybe whatever, we know that she cannot refer back to masculine because she has to agree with Layla. All right, so this is a clue. Also a number. Note that anyone, someone, a person, everyone, if you find that in a sentence, they must take singular pronouns. They must take singular pronouns. So anyone, someone, a person, everyone, if you find that in a sentence, then you straight away, you know that this is singular. No plural pronouns can refer back to someone or anyone or everyone. All right, this is really simple. Anyone, someone, everyone, a person, it's either he or she. This is the pronoun that we expect to be used. An example here, everyone should take the responsibility for his or her own actions. All right? So this, his or her, can refer back to everyone. Why? Because this is singular, this is singular. All right? Okay, now we have more examples. Example number 1. Ali is a good student. He never comes late to class. If I ask you, what does he refers back to? We look for an antecedent. Is it student? Or is it Ali? We know that it's Ali straight away. Okay, as simple as that. This is really simple, but I just want to make sure that you are following me. Sarah is a smart girl, because she scored 100 in maths. Okay, so she refers back to Sarah. Okay, now the third sentence, Umar and Sami are eating quickly because they are late for school. Now they, option number 1, Umar. Option number 2, Sami. Option number 3, Umar and Sami. Now how do we know what antecedent the pronoun they refers back to? Well, it's quite simple. We look for number agreement. They is plural, Sami is singular, Umar is singular, but together they form plural. So they refers back to Umar and Sami. As simple as that. All right, now we have another exercise. Please pause the video. I will read it and then pause the video as I'm going to tell you the answer straight away. In Finland, children do not start school until the age of 7. They don't have to worry about grades because teachers don't give grades until high school. The question is, they. What does it refer back to? Does it refer back to Finland, children, school? So we have options, but we know that they is plural, right? So we look for a plural antecedent, and it seems that this is the only option. Children, why? Because here we have the plural N. Right? So the antecedent is children. All right? Thank you very much for your attention. I hope that you found this lecture useful. If you have any questions or concerns, please attend the live session and ask me, and I will be always there for you answering your questions. Thank you.